Hi, hello everyone. I'm so glad to be with you today. I'm Axel Aletur, and today I will share you my story, a story through which I am trying to communicate some message, especially the message of resilience. How I learned resilience. How, despite my disability, I managed to find life as valid as possible. But today, I want to involve everyone. We are now on the starting gate of the World Motocross Championship Series. We are now 27 June 2010, first hit. My mechanic is on my right. He gives me some last advice. One very important thing, I need to make a quick start. This is crucial for the rest of my race. 15 seconds on the billboard. 5 seconds, I hit the gas, the gate drops. I come out in 5th position. Quickly, I am overtaken by some other competitors that are more experienced than me, but I find myself in very nice 8th position. I pass front of the pit lane. My mechanics that tell me on the pit board, keep going, keep grazing, continue like that. Unlike the other time, I was riding like I was flying over the track. I was riding smooth, clean, just perfect. And I arrived on this fateful jump. A very difficult jump with lot of lines, lot of roads to this sandy track in Latvia. I take the bump, the bike threw me out on the front. I land on my back and I feel a big crack in my lower back. Directly, I know my legs doesn't respond anymore. I am paraplegic. This is the real one. In 1 second, directly, I see my entire career before my eyes. And I am thinking, all of his sacrifices, all of his suffering, all of his training during the season, and I said, what? All of it for what? For being paraplegic for the rest of my life? Luckily, I remain lucid. The emergency arrived on the track. I explained the situation. I know one thing very important, I have to be focused, you know. I cannot panic. I have to be careful about everything because just one minor error can be fatal for the rest of my life. I'm being taken off the racetrack. They bring me to the ambulance. My parents arrived. I explained them the situation, the detail of my injury. And directly, I went to the hospital in Latvia. I met the medical staff, and the surgeons come to see me, and he explained that I have to have a CT scan to make a diagnostic of my injury. Of course, unfortunately, an episode I can tell you about because I fainted. The only thing I remember is I woke up in a room where my parents were and my mechanic as well. My father first question, he asked me, Axel, how are you feeling? Do you feel something? I looked my dad and I told him, you know, Dad, I can't feel my legs. I am paraplegic. And my dad told me, you know, Axel, this race will be the race of your life. Some of them make it through, you have to fight. You cannot be second. This fight, Axel, will be the fight of your life. Wow. I was just woke up from the surgery, and straight away my dad told me this is my fight of my life. I answered, you know, Dad, you know me. I will do everything in my power to make it through, but I will fight until the end. My mom was just next to him. He took her on the side because she was crying. My mechanic asked me how I was. I tell him that my back hurt from the surgery plate, but I still don't feel my legs. Finally, I flew back to France by private jet. I arrived in Paris to the hospital. Directly, I met the medical staff, all the medical staff, and they explained me the situation, the detail of my injury. And of course, when I arrived in France, my first question was simple. I asked to the doctor, Doctor, will I be able to walk again in my life? His answer was simple as well. He said, Mr. Aletur, your spine cord is really damaged. We can't know for sure. But one thing is crucial, is we have to do surgery again in France to stabilize all the spine cord and decompress your edema. The next day, I go in a medical block, and I'm ready to have another intervention. But at that time, I'm really suffering. I am really suffering mentally, physically. I'm just 22 years old. I don't have idea of the future. I lost the control of my legs. Finally, this operation lasted for 8 hours. Within has some screw put in my back, 12 screws, and they put some plate to stabilize all the spine cord. The next day, the surgeons come to see me again in my room, and he tells me that I will be transferred in the recovery center during the week. But at that time, for me, I can't wait a week. Wait a week, it's too long. I want to start right now the rehabilitation in the bed at the hospital. So I decided to start to work on it. Working a mild contraction in the left quad. A mini contraction that I keep after my crash in Latvia, but disappear after the first surgery in Riga. But a mini contraction appears this time after the second operation in France. But be careful, when I say contraction is like a really mild contraction. It's the same as if you will move your nostril, but I have something, and I decide to do some set of 10 every hour in the bed at the hospital. After 1 week, I am transferred in the rehabilitation center based in Lille, called L'Espoir. Directly, I meet the medical staff, the doctor-in-chief of the rehabilitation center, with also Gaël, my future physiotherapist. Both of them explain me the situation and how it will go. One more time, of course, my first question was simple. I asked to the doctor, will I walk again? His answer was simple as well. He said, Mr. Ailtu, as you know, your spine cord is really damaged. We can't know for sure. But one thing is sure, in the center, we have everything to make you work on it with a sweet elbow program. Gaël, my physiotherapist, gives me an appointment in 3 days to start the recovery. But first, I must transfer myself from the bed to the wheelchair. Not easy. The nurse brings me one wheelchair close to my bed. I try to get on it, but it's difficult. And also I have a lot of pain in my back, my head is spinning, but I don't say anything because I tell myself if I tell them that my head is spinning or if I have pain in my back, they will put me back to bed to do slower transfer, and I can't wait longer. I want to start right now the rehabilitation as soon as possible. So in the wheelchair, I go to the physiotherapy room. I don't know if you tried the wheelchair once time in your life, but I can tell you, even if you're on the next motocross professional racer, just riding with the wheelchair for the first time, that's not easy at all. When I arrived to the therapy room, Gaël shows me around. She explained me one more time the program. And we are starting by a simple exercise, move from the wheelchair over the therapy table. Maybe an easy exercise for you, valid, but very difficult for a paraplegic person without his hub. Gaël, my physiotherapist, explained me how to do it. It's tricky, but after 10 times, I find a way to do it. Then, we're going on a second exercise. This time, Gaël asked me to sit up against the back of the chair. She asked me to cross my arm, and she lowers the back of the chair. At this time, I am thinking, why does she want me work sitting down? Because I want to work this mild contraction. I want to stand quickly as possible. I want to ride again, motocross. But I don't say anything. I tell myself she has more experience than me, so I put my hands off the table, and then I fall. Yeah. I couldn't even sit still without my hand support. Can you imagine that? At this moment, I thought, wait, Axel, you want to walk again? You want to stand quickly as soon as possible, and you cannot sit on this chair. That's crazy. I thought it's gonna be a very, very, very long way. And you know, like I said, in your life, if you want to target the moon, you have to target the star before, but you have to taking things step by step. First step, my reconstruction. I went through different stages, hoping, despair, still hoping, accepting the change in my new life. But one thing is sure, when I woke up every day, I thought about one thing, to walk again. My focus was just only that, to walk again. I was trying to install deep down my subconsciousness this image to see me standing up. This image was for me in my mind like real. Real like I can touch it. Real like I can feel it. Because I knew if I thought about it 24 hours each day, and if I remained faithful to this mental image, one day it was going to come true. Of course, I don't think like, hey, today I'm going to walk again. No. I used moment of relaxation, moment of somnolence to work mentally. 80% of my recovery has been mentally. Later, when I was reading a book, I discovered that I intuitively applied the visualization technique by myself. As the week went by, I see progress. And after 3 months, Gaël, my physiotherapist, offered me to take me to biotherapy in the pool. Of course, for the first time, for me it was just amazing, just to regain the contact with the water, to feel free, to feel almost like before, to see myself at the height of the other without my wheelchair. It really was a moment of happiness. But for me, no time to waste. With Gaël, we are starting to work on my legs. Move them with the weightless help. I can make some movement. Little bit with the right. And after a few sessions, I start to be able to stand up in the pool, in the water. Maybe for you it doesn't mean a lot for you, valid. But for me, to stand up in the water for the first time, it was just amazing. It was important for me, for the people around me, for the team, for the confidence. Of course, the water was up to my neck, and then we were down to my hip. But there was a special system where we could adjust the height of the water. It was really, really interesting. With all the progress, one day, when I was ready to go in the pool, Gaël told me, okay, Axel, from now, we are going to get you up, but this time on the real ground. I tell her, okay, but do you know that I lost 80% of my muscles and you want to get me up between the bars on the real ground? She said, yes, of course. But for that, Axel, you need quick change, you need flexibility, you need some innovation. So I decided to call the father of one of my friends, who is an orthoprothesist. He came to the center, I explained the detail of my injury, and together we are trying to think about special braces that will hold my feet in 90 degrees. So he takes some mold measurement, and after 3 weeks, he brings me the braces. Special carbon braces that will hold my feet. So I put the braces. I'm being careful to not have any contusion. Remember, I still don't feel my legs. I put myself front of the parallel bar. Gaël, my physiotherapist, go front of me in case if I fall down. 1, 2, 3. I'm going for it, and paf. I can stand up. I can stand up with a lot of strength in my arm. I can do it, I can hold it. After a few sessions, I start to be able to do small step, and then 2, and then 3, and make one-way trip. I was walking on the real ground. Of course, I was so proud of me. I was working like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, but I want more, it was not enough for me. So I managed to find the key of the gym room. Of course, it was not allowed, but in the gym room, there were like a parallel bar, like 50 meters. And with the help of the coach Port, I managed to find the key of the gym room, and at least I could work as I want all day long. I was working my backyard, my sideway. Okay, sometimes I fell, but I always did it again. One day, when I was in a gym room, Gail came, and she said, okay, Axel, I must speak to you right now. I said, what's going on again? She said, well, you know, Axel, I know you can move between the bars, but you're not autonomous with that. There is no bar in the street. There is no bar in a shop, or even at your place. So now, you have to mentally to accept the wheelchair for the rest of your life, then you can move easier. In 1 second, I was completely down. 2 seconds before, I was dreaming to walk again for the rest of my life, and in 1 second, Gail, my physiotherapist, tells me it's game over. So I was down, I was crying. Like I usually said, you can be strong mentally as you can. You know, you're just human. When somebody tells you it's over, it's over. So I was crying, I was down. In the panic, Gail tried to fix a new solution, and she think out of the box. And she said, you know, Axel, let's try one last thing. Let's try the walker. I don't know you, but for me, the walker, I directly thought the walker of my grandfather and my grandmother, and I don't want to see me to go in a restaurant, in a bar with my walker, or even if you want to chat with the girl for the first time at 22 years old with the walker, that's not the best way. But I said, okay, let's try it, and we will see. So she brings me the walker. I put myself in front of the walker, I take the speed, and paf, here we go. I can stand up. I can stand up, but I easily lose my balance. I still try to continue, but it's difficult. Now it's been 1 year and a half, and I'm really stagnating. The doctor starting to talk about my release. He said, I can continue the rehabilitation center. I can continue the rehabilitation, but this time outside of the center. So we set up a date for my release. And of course, at that time, I think about my future. Why? Because I was just 22 years old. I said, what next? How to make sense in this new life? Maybe go back to school? I'm just 22. Or maybe continue the sport. Sport is all my life. I have always been a sportman. So I decided to join a disabled swim club to prepare my release. I tell myself that it can only be better anywhere and might be able to get back in a good physical shape. And I think it was a good initiative because I was able to get back in the real world, but I mean slowly. The people in the club were very friendly with me. They asked me my story, what happened. 3 days before my release, this time I asked Gail, I want to stand up, but with the crutches. She said, you know, Axel, with the crutches, you cannot walk with the walker, and now you want to stand up with the crutches. I said, yes, I want to try everything. I want to do everything in my power to make it through, and then I will see what happens. But certainly, after 2 years, I don't have any regret for the future. And I think at 22 years old, do not have any regret for the future. It's really important for your mind. So she asked to the doctor. The doctor, surprised, accept. So Gail brings me the crutches. I put myself in front of the parallel bar. I take the speed and paf, here we go. I can stand up. I can stand up with the crutches and I feel a way better than the walker that was always moving. Directly, the doctor decided to push back my release date, push back the release date of 3 months. Finally, 3 months later, without the help of Gail, I managed to stand up alone with 2 crutches to walk like 20, 30 meters by myself. Of course, when I say walking, it's like walking like a robot. But you know, when I arrived 2 years ago, lying on the bed, I said to myself, okay, Axel, if you get out from this down wheelchair one day, it will be the most beautiful victory in your life, even if you can't walk any longer. As soon as I left the recovery, I lost myself a first challenge. This challenge reached my parents' car on the parking by walking, about 50 meters. And my parents were like, okay, Axel, we know you can walk. Go in a wheelchair right now, don't take any risk right now that you finally get out of the center. But when I am on this path to get to the car, many things come to my mind. I realized that I have handicap for my entire life, and I will have to adapt myself in any kind of situation. That's the key, adaptation. And I said, now how to make sense in this new life? What will make me go out of the bed every morning? What will be my life goal? Everyone have a life goal. If you don't have any life goal, why get out of the bed? It doesn't make sense anymore. So I said, okay, first step, find out if I can drive a car despite my disability. Yeah. And now, naturally, when you search something, what are you doing? You go on Google. So I Google, can I drive a car with a paraplegic handicap? I see on the internet, there is a special hand control to drive a car. Good news, I will be able to go anywhere by myself. Then I tap on Google, person in a wheelchair, is it possible to find a girlfriend? Yeah, but when you're just 22 years old, it's a big question. You're a teenager. Will someone accept my disability, bear my handicap, start a family with me? I don't know. I see on the internet the true love exists. Then I tap handicap sports. And I discover on the internet, on YouTube, an athlete that you should know not by his performance, but for what he did. His name is Oscar Pistorius, the South African guy. For those who don't know, he killed his wife. But you know, he don't inspire me on this side, of course. But when I saw this athlete make the finals at the Olympics in 2008 while he's double amputees, I said to myself, okay, Axel, despite my disability, I can be a champion again. Despite what happened to me, I can rebuild myself. I can have a new career in my life. So I am directly laughing the challenge to participating at the Paralympic Game of Rio 2016. But first challenge, build a team to achieve my goal. Because I have just 5 years to learn how to swim without kicking, without diving, qualify myself to the Olympics, and get the medals. I can tell you 5 years, it's really, really short time. So I convinced 5 people in this adventure. Not easy to convince them when I tell them that I was a professional motocross racer and now I would like to go to the Olympics. But they believe in me, they trust in myself. And finally, in 5 years, we have been success together to become 12-time national champion, European champion, and got 3 French records on 50-meter flies, 50-meter freestyle, and 100 freestyle. Since 2014, I became an elite athlete and member of the French swimming team. And I managed to become what I was before my accident, a professional sportsman, but this time in the Paralympic sport. Today, I want to say thanks to all this mentally and physically works. Thanks of my great capacity of being able to be positive throughout my journey. I have since met the medical staff of the rehabilitation center, and they are very impressed about my progress, because they never thought that I will be able to progress more after the release date. But today, I want to say thanks also to my mentally works, my positivity, because you know, when you are in the rehabilitation center, people around you, sometimes your family, how many people will tell you that is impossible or that you will fail? I think 80%. They couldn't do it, so you won't be able as well. But no, it's not work like this. But imagine stay with people like that in the center, in the recovery, for like 1 month, 2 months. You can be strong mentally. But this time, imagine staying with the same people for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, lock up with them 24 hours each day. That's not the same way at all. So I had the huge job to isolating myself, to really stay focused on my goal to walk again. Today, I think my most beautiful week on my life, even if I became BMX world champion, motocross world champion, Paralympic champion. Today, my most beautiful week on my life is that even if I lost 80% of my muscles, even if the doctor tells me that I will stay in a wheelchair for my entire life, today, 13 years after my crash, I can stand up, but this time, walk again like 1, 2, 3 kilometers by myself. Still with my braces, I can walk with 2 crutches, 1 crutches, sometimes without crutches. I can do some cycling, I can ride motorbike. Of course, don't tell that to my mom, I think she kill me, anyway. But I can do a lot of things, but I have to adapt myself in any kind of situation. That's the key, adaptation. Now, let's talk about one of my dreams. When I was a kid, I had a big dream. This dream was to racing the hardest rally in the world, Rally Dakar. Of course, a rally that you should know because since 2020 the Dakar passed through Saudi. And I said, okay, why not realize this Dakar, not on two-wheel drive, but on 4-wheel drive with the car. In 2018, I decided to build a project called #YouCan2020. A project that made a lot of sense to me to prove behind the impossible there is a possible. Demonstrate whether you're like a teenager, CEO, manager, person in a wheelchair, we can all have a weak moment in our life, but we can all find a way to bounce back. To build this project, I decided to build my own team. My own team with 25 people in this adventure. But the first challenge before everything was to find the money, raise the money. We have 25 people, we need $500,000 to adapt the car with my disability. So we build like a marketing plan with a national sponsored, international sponsored. And after 8 months, we raised all the money. Then the second challenge was to build a car with my disability, with special hand control, with special seat, with cage, also some solution to help my co-driver to change flight tire in the desert. After 6 months, we build the car. Then we are now on the 5th January 2020 with my co-driver François. François, my co-driver, asked me, what is my ambition? Of course, I said, I want to win this Dakar. François tells me, you want to win this Dakar? I said, yes, I want to win this Dakar. He said, wait, Axel, you know how many Dakar I have done in my life in 20 years career? He said, 8. So he said, with your disability, if we go at the end of this Dakar, like 10,000 kilometers in 15 days, without any problems, I think it will be a really big victory. I said, no, I want to win this Dakar. He said, oh, take it easy, because I don't want to see 2 years of work going in smoke in 1 second at the first stage. So take it easy. I said, okay, I will see. First stage, top 10. We were like 80 pilots on the Dakar. Then second stage, top 10 again. Then top 5. Then top 3. Then first stage win. Then after 15 days, racing in extreme condition with my co-driver François, we finally crossed the finish line of the Dakar, and I especially become the first disabled driver to win a category on the Dakar with normal people. Of course, amazing victory. When I passed through the podium in Riyadh, I thought about, my crash when I was in Latvia, and I said, if the doctor tells me in Latvia 10 years ago, Mr. Aletru, you lose the part of your legs, But don't worry, you will win a Dakar with normal people in 10 years. I would say you're completely crazy. After the Dakar, I went through France. I arrived to do Paris-Charles de Gaulle. I switch on my phone. I have a lot of text message to congratulation. But I have a really important phone call. Somebody tells me that I have a new challenge. This challenge is not a challenge for 2-3 months, but this challenge will be the challenge of my life. This challenge is to be a dad, a father. The little Oscar just given birth, and I have to go directly straight to the maternity after the Dakar, and I don't know what is the harder thing, the Dakar or the maternity, but I can tell you it was the really, really nice victory. Now, let's talk about resilience. What I am trying to share on a daily basis is that life can be tough, but generous at the same time. I always trusted life and I have faith in myself. I learned resilience, and resilience taught me how to accept the situation. Accepting the situation allowed me to continue moving forward instead of giving up, in order to restore meaning to my life and get back in the motion rather than stay at home. But be aware, accepting has nothing to do with giving up. In 10 years, I will walk again with the sciences, with the workout. I will be valid. You know, valid. Sometimes you tend to forget this real moment of life, like just running, dancing, jumping, walking hand in hand, laughing. You know this happiness. Don't forget this happiness of life of each of us. Thank you.
I told you to expect the embodiment of resilience. That's exactly what we got, right? Axel, incredible story.
Thank you. Just,
Can I pass you anything?
I want just to share some slides.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is my spinal cord injury, as you know. I'm really glad to be stand-up today because when you see the spine cord, I think it was really, really pessimist at the beginning. So I'm so glad to walk again, some cycling, to do some motorbike, and ride some buggies. It was motocross. As you can see, it was really extreme sports. And I love to ride motorcycle. And today, even if I have my spine cord injury, I can ride again because for me it's like, adrenaline. So I love my sport, and maybe I will race again one day. Maybe it will be the next challenge, I don't know. I love this picture because you see me with the motocross and then the recovery, then you see me standing up, then the diving of Rio 2016, and after you can see me with all the staff, with 25 people in this team, my co-driver François on my right. It was in Riyadh in 2020. So a lot of emotion on this podium, and it was just amazing memories. Just I want to share with you how I adapt my car. Like I told you, I used to ride with hand control, but for my side it was not possible because, you know, Dakar is like 10 hours per day, so it was difficult to hold on the steering wheel, to have some shock, everything. So I decided to build this special system, pedal control. So I put my left legs, my right legs on the right pedals, and I brake with my left legs. Even if I don't feel my legs, I can ride with this system. And as you can see, it was working because we won the Dakar 2020. Next challenge. It's to go on the Dakar, not in 24, but in 26. New challenge, build a new car with new stuff. So this is the new challenge, and I hope we will win it again. Thanks, everyone. You can still follow the story on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. I'm so glad to be with you today. I bring my books, so if you want some dedicated book or souvenir, I would love to share with you. Thanks, everyone.
Amazing, Axel. I think you've definitely gained some new followers today, which is fantastic, and definitely a man putting the possible back in the impossible. Thanks again to Alex Aletru.